Good morning, it's Friday morning and welcome to the weekend. Hopefully, as I always say, hopefully you'll get some time with friends and family. Well, probably not friends so much unless you're able to keep yourself distance and get out for a walk or something like that. I'm not advocating anybody breaks any rules or anything like that, but hopefully you'll get some time to catch up with family and maybe get that bit of rest that you need. Hopefully you'll also be able to get along to church. It'd be lovely to see you coming out to church. This Sunday coming is Remembrance Sunday. And obviously it's an important day, not just for us to come and worship God together, but also to be together and to give God thanks for the lives of those who've given themselves for us, so that even today we know the freedom we have because of what's been done for us in the past. This morning we're thinking really about the last little bit of what happens really in these short 5 verses or so that we looked at last Sunday. And really we've been thinking about it all through this week, about the Lord's call on Matthew. But after Jesus calls Matthew, he then does something which in some ways provokes a thought which I want to share with you in just a moment. But let me read for you what happens. This is after Matthew has left everything and followed Jesus. We read then verse 15 of Mark chapter 2. And as he reclined at table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. For there were many who followed him. And the scribes of the Pharisees, when they saw that he was eating with sinners and tax collectors, said to his disciples, "Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?" And when Jesus heard it, he said to them, "Those who are well have no need for a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but to call sinners." So this is an interesting passage, because what we have here is Jesus, after he's called Matthew, he then, in a sense, goes a step further. Calling Matthew in itself was a huge thing. This was somebody, as we thought yesterday, was really against the Jewish people. He didn't care for the Jewish people because they meant nothing to him other than an opportunity to get a few shekels. And he was working for the Romans and they didn't really care for him because he was just an employee. And so he was caught in this place where he was making money but not really being enjoyed by anybody else. And Jesus called him and immediately he left them. Now Mark, for whatever reason, decides to tell us a little bit more about what happened after that. Or should I say, Jesus, for whatever reason, decided to do something even more contentious than just calling Levi to follow him. We read that he went to this house and that they reclined together. So the disciples were reclining at the table. Jesus was reclining at the table with Matthew, who was there, Levi, but also other tax collectors as well, other sinners, as Mark calls them. And he uses the speech marks, as I mentioned back on Sunday, to sort of say, this is how they were known. They were known as sinners, and there was Jesus in amongst them. Now, we have to remember that they weren't all sitting around a table on chairs, etc., the way we would do it. But they were actually lying down, most likely with their feet facing away from the table and their shoulder and their elbow closest to the table so that they could eat from the table. So they were lying down, they were reclining at table. So Jesus was lying down in amongst them. He was lying down as they all were. He was showing an acceptance for them. And this is remarkable because the scribes, the Pharisees, were watching thinking, what is he doing? What is he thinking? What's going on here? Because you almost find yourself saying, why did he do that? He could have saved himself so much bother. He had called Matthew. He had got his disciple. He could have just gone on and things would have been fine, but instead he makes matters worse by going and spending time with these other people in front of everyone so everyone can see. Jesus, you could have made the same point without doing that. You could have had the same impact without doing that. But why did you have to go and do that? The reason's obvious. That's where the need was. He wasn't needed to be simply spending more time with his few disciples that he had. He wasn't needed to be taking himself away quietly off by himself. But he went to where the real need was, because he had accepted Matthew for who he was. Other people wanted to know if Jesus accepted Matthew, Levi, maybe he'll accept me too. And other tax collectors were coming to him. other sinners were there. Jesus came to be with the sick, not to spend time, as we thought in Sunday, not to walk around and pat on the back all those who were doing religiously so well. And it makes me wonder if Jesus would have arrived in our time. Would us Presbyterian ministers have been ignored by him, pushed to one side because Jesus didn't come to tell us how well we were doing? But he came to spend time with those who spiritually needed him, those who were sick spiritually. And it makes me wonder even today, the time we have, it's good for us to spend time with friends and talk to friends and all the rest of it, but do we sometimes pull ourselves away from the people who really need to hear about Jesus because we'd rather not be with them or not seen with them, and instead we decide to spend time with those who are safe with, those who approve of us, those who will pat us on the back, those who think the same theologically as we do. So the challenge there for us is, who is it that we can maybe spend more time with? Who needs to know about Jesus? Who needs to be shown the love that Jesus showed us once upon a time? Big challenge for us, especially going into the weekend. How will you spend the time you have maybe off this weekend? Who will you be in contact with? Hopefully you'll stick with us. We'll see you on Sunday morning, and you'll be back again on Monday morning. Thank you for being with me today. God bless.